Mom's got a podcast. Mom's got a podcast? Mom's got a podcast.
Mom's got a podcast.
Mom's got a podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mom's Got a Podcast. I'm Lori Houde, and I am back for part 2 with my daughter, Danika Schwartz. She was here and she shared her life story and testimony and all that God's done in and through her life, and what it's been like being raised in our home a little bit, but mostly what it's been like to learn to follow and trust God. And that is all on the podcast from last week. I hope you go back and listen. You will love hearing her love story, really her God story. It's quite beautiful, and I believe it'll encourage you, whether you're married or single, if you're parenting boys or girls. It will impact how you parent, how you make decisions for your family about dating and whatnot. So we're going to do part 2, and this is going to be some fun questions since you're a youth pastor. You and your husband are in youth ministry together, and I'm going to swallow. You work at the church how many days a week?
4.
And he works at the church?
2.
So together you youth pastor, you split the responsibilities, and you work with some amazing teens. And so one of the things that I was hoping that you would share today is if you could give advice to any parent raising a teenager right now, which our youth group is 6th grade through 12th grade. Junior high is 6th, 7th, and 8th. High school is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So that's a wide range of kids and ages. And you see the good results, you see the hard, the bad, the ugly. And this is not you critiquing anyone's parenting. If you could give advice to parents of teenagers about going to church or talking to them or purity or anything, consistency, just share it, because what do we have to lose? Are they going to get mad at you for sharing? If they don't like what you say, then oh well. I mean, you might as well share what you know and just be brave and bold, and I'm excited. So let's hear it.
I love it. Honestly, there's a couple things that come to mind. One of the first things is more is caught than taught, and your kids are watching you, especially your high schoolers and your middle schoolers. And if you have an expectation for them about how they're called to, or how they're supposed to serve the Lord, or how they're supposed to act, but you yourself aren't following through with it, it's really confusing. If you want them to go to youth group every Wednesday night and read their Bible every day, but you don't go to church on Sunday morning and you're not modeling it, it really does create this pull in their hearts as they're trying to navigate that. Another thing that is really cool about this generation is they actually don't want you to be cool. That sounds funny, but they don't really care that much if you're that cool. They want you to be real.
As in parents or youth pastors or both?
Are both. Honestly, I'm the weird age that's not Gen Z, that's not a millennial. I'm the 4-year gap of weird. And and honestly though, but my age group, we lived in Montana, so I'm probably a little more millennial, really wanted people to be cool. You wanted all the things, and the next generation just wants to know that you care.
Right? They don't even care if youth volunteers are cool.
No.
I don't have to have trendy clothes to love on kids. I need to love Jesus and love those kids and pour into them if I'm a youth leader.
Yeah, and love authentically.
Or a parent.
And as a parent, they can smell fakeness from a mile away. They don't want to listen. And they also are being inundated all the time, constantly, through social media, through friends, through school, even in homeschool co-ops. They're exposed to so much more than you even realize, and a lot of them really want to do what's right. And they want to have an open line of communication with you of hey, just having open communication as a parent. But also they don't want you to be their best friend. I know that sounds funny, but there should be healthy communication, but I also think there needs to be respect. And one of the most heartbreaking conversations Zach has had with a student was one of the student's parents had defended them in something, and the kid just came to Zach crying, and he's like, I just wanted him to tell me I was wrong. I was wrong, and I know I'm wrong. Don't defend me.
Actually tell me to do better.
Tell me to do better.
Yeah, wow.
And it really shaped how Zach and I even kind of view youth ministry in a lot of ways of they like goals, they like standards, they hate the stigma is that they are lazy, that they don't want to do good, and that they're not capable. Teach them how to do things, show them how to do life, bring them alongside you from your walk with God to teach kids how to cook, to let your boys be men with you.
Like, give them an axe and chop some wood. So Danika, yeah. I really believe what you're saying is so important, because I actually think that kids or anyone, if they were asked, well, who's your favorite coach or favorite teacher? People will say that one coach that pushed me harder than anyone else. But that might be a whole generation ago. Maybe now kids don't even have coaches that push them, because the parents all step in and go, don't push my kids. And I believe that you're saying kids want to be told, this is what I expect of you. Live strong for God. Get good grades. Get a job. I want to train you on how to be these things. I'm going to reference my book because it's Mom's Got a Podcast. In my book on Parenting on Purpose, one of my entire chapters is on train your children. And I feel like kids or young adults or teens are in trouble at work or at school or at youth group for things no one trained them to do. Everything from manners and social skills, from their ability to show up on time, to do a job, to pay attention, whatever it is. And I'm sad for them. They get in trouble. They get labeled the naughty kid. And they should have been trained at 2 years old, trained at 5 years old. I got to babysit for a couple last night, and their little 3-year-old, I can tell he's been trained. He's never allowed to ask for something without saying please, because he'd hand me his cup. I mean, 3-year-olds, they can be snarky. And he goes, can I get more drink, please? I mean, his mind, I saw it. And I go, you are so polite. That takes training. So when it comes to these kids, they don't want you to defend weakness and let them stay weak. They want to be rising up. And I'm going to share a little fun thing, Danika. Like, all this is unplanned. And I keep thinking of your next answer. So one of the other things that I reference in my book, go back and listening, because I don't even have a real book for you to buy yet, but it's all in the Parenting on Purpose, season 1 of Mom's Got a Podcast. But I'm telling you, when my son Micah, because we're talking about teenagers, Micah and Jada, we had a foreign exchange student living with us named Simon. And I'm telling you, between Simon, who was Jada's age, and Micah, who was very driven, they had way too much time on their hands. When they weren't in a basketball season or soccer season or something, or volleyball, they had too many hours. And I required of them to do 30 minutes or an hour every day of something physical, something relational, something spiritual, so God-centered, and something educational at home, not just school, but they could combine them, Danika. So if they wanted to shoot hoops while listening to a podcast, they could. If they wanted to watch a documentary on how, plastic is used in our world, and sit with each other, they were doing something relational and educational. And I'm telling you, they were teenagers. I put this on the wall, and they all rose. I put it on the fridge, actually. They all rose up, and they all marked off these things. And then they could do whatever they wanted, watch a movie or play a video game, all the things within reason. And Danika, the atmosphere of our home shifted because they had too much potential. And they were settling in to average, and they didn't want to be average. And you're saying to me, the youth of this generation, they don't want to be average. They don't want parents to condone and just handle everything and let everything go. They want to be trained and taught and motivated and helped and equipped to be all that they're called to be. I love it.
Yeah, they really do. And they're a really neat generation, and I'm excited to see what they continue to do as they grow. One other thing that I thought of while you're talking is a lot of people expect youth group to fix their kids, and youth group is not going to fix your kids. We're literally with them an hour and a half a week, and they're with their friends. And we obviously are going to hear Bible-based sermons. We're going to have small groups. They're going to get mentored. But you guys, parents have the students more than we do as youth pastors. And we want to partner alongside parents. But really, youth group is never going to fix your kids. Also, please don't ever use youth group as punishment. It never goes over well, I promise you.
Yes, it's like, oh, you're in trouble, so we're grounding you from youth group. No.
Yeah.
Even if it's their favorite thing, you don't take youth group from
Yeah,
them.
or you have to go to youth group. Like, they're not going, or you have to go to youth group because you're in trouble.
Either way, that's the wrong way
Yeah.
to do it with your family.
Yeah. So
That's huge, Danika.
and every kid is different, and get to know their personality. Every kid, responds different and wants to be known. They really want to be known and understood and given a second chance. So.
Okay, so I'm going to hang out here. Do you see why I'm bringing my kids on here? Because what you're saying, first of all, is an echo to what I'm teaching in here. I'm teaching in the Parenting on Purpose podcast to capture the heart of your own children so that you can disciple them, you can train them, you can raise them, and they will eventually want what you're training them in, like Olympic type parents. Pour your heart into your kids. Okay, so at this point, one of the things that I've been telling all my parents on Parenting on Purpose podcast, season 1, is that the church, pastors, mentors, coaches, other families and friends, they're all going to influence your kids to some degree. They're an echo, but they should not be the main source. And you're saying when you bring your kids to youth group on Wednesday night and they get a 20-minute sermon, 15-minute worship, and a small group, that should not be their only source of spiritual food. They will be starving if that is all that they're getting. The youth group, the children's pastors, youth pastors, they are only an echo of the parents. So train your children at home and then make sure they are getting those friend groups and those mentors in the church setting, and never punish them by making them go to youth group or keeping youth group from them. I think those are huge pieces of advice, Danika. I love it. When you think about kids and consistency and coming, parents often say, my kids don't fit in at youth group, so, and they don't really want to go, so I don't know, I'm not going to make them go if they don't want to go. I know what I would say to those parents because we were youth pastors for a lot of years, but what would you say to parents in a loving way, because they're trying, and a lot of parents in our culture right now some are working 2 to 3 jobs between the two of them. They're often running kids to sports that are extensive right now, or they're in music programs, or the homework level is high, or the parents are very spread thin, or it's hard. And so how would you encourage without guilt parents to make that decision in advance? For your kids to get to youth group, stay in youth group, and don't quit just because they don't think they fit in. Like, how would you help them in that?
No, it's a great question. And honestly, there's a couple things. One of our families at our church, one of the way they worded it to like some of their coaches where they had to no longer do sports on Wednesday nights was, we're a church-centered family. And that there is times, like realistically, your kids are not going to make it to pro sports. The statistics are very, very little. But you want them to go to heaven. You want them to make disciples. You want them to grow up and be all who they're called to be. And so as much as coaches can push and push and push to be at all the things, I do think that there's just certain things that as parents you have to decide it's who we are. It's in our core values that we are people that go to church on Sundays. We're people that go to church on Wednesdays. It's just who we are. Obviously, there's times you have to miss. It is whatever, but if it's just understood, then it's not a forced thing.
And you're not deciding every week.
And you're not deciding every week.
It's understood.
It was never a decision on if we were going to youth group. You're going to youth group. It was never a decision if we're going to go to church. Are we going to go this week? We're going to go. So just like making that decision determined ahead of time, and it starts honestly even when they're young. Just like, hey, if there's something offered, we go. Just being a part in all of those things. And then as far as people fitting in, this is something that Zach and I have talked a lot about as youth pastors, and it's something that we're still learning and growing in. One, we all belong in the body of Christ, but that doesn't mean every single person is going to be every person's best friend. As grown-ups, we don't all get along exactly the same, and there's a difference between kids being mean and then kids naturally hanging out with each other, and those who have friends are going to be friendly. And
so good.
sometimes it is the student stepping out and making another friend. I promise you, especially at our youth group, most of our students genuinely want to get to know new people. But it doesn't also mean it's not the church's job, and this is my opinion, it's not the church's job to get your kids a best friend. And so I think that's an unrealistic expectation on a youth pastor or a church. And also that's not the point of church. So I think sometimes people see youth group as like separate from main church, but also the main reason we shouldn't go to church is to have friends either. It's to grow in your relationship with God, to grow deeper in your relationship with God, and to be a part of the family of Christ, obviously. But if the only reason your kids are going to go or not go to church is based on friends, I think that's the wrong priority. But
it might set a precedence that you end up not going to the church you're called to someday because you don't have the friends there, or it doesn't feel as natural with friends. But if you know where you're called to be, you go because God's called you there. There's a reason you're there, and maybe you're to befriend someone else or to make a difference right where you're planted, or maybe your kid walking through disappointment or feeling alone, as Tessa shared in her podcast, her season of being alone made her look up and see who else needed a friend. And Danika, I hear you saying that to push every teenager to be each other's best friends
so
is unrealistic because adults don't even do that. It's impossible expectations, and it will make them feel frustrated and cornered, and you want it to feel easy and fun. And we're not talking about any specific family right now. I can actually talk about my family in this because my mom and dad did the best they knew how, and I was a pastor's kid. I'm an OG pastor's kid. And my mom did the best she knew how. Thank you, Mom. I know you're listening. And you raised me to love people well, and I'm thankful for that. But I also at times was forced to be people's friend where it was unhealthy for me. I found myself in the basement of someone's house seeing pornography because I had to be the friend to that family. And I don't know that I was supposed to have to be the friend to them. And then I didn't know what to do with that information. And I feel like making kids be friends, because that's how it should be at church, isn't necessarily always God's best. Be friendly,
100%.
but you don't have to be close to everyone. Jesus was not close to everyone. Jesus had his 3 closest, Peter, James, and John. Then Jesus had his 12 disciples, and then he had the crowd, and then he had the multitude. So it's okay in the church for people to have their 2, 3, 4 closest. That doesn't mean it's a clique. It doesn't mean they're being mean. I hate the word clique. I think people are allowed to have safe and close and intimate. I'm getting all intense on this one, so I don't know. I guess it matters, Danika, because
it matters.
I was hurt by having to be friends with some people. And then I did that to you. I didn't know what else to do. And Danika has had to forgive me, because especially with her, Tessa just wanted to be friends with everybody. And Danika had this huge group of people in classes 1 to 2 years ahead of her, people in her grade and people after her grade. And I literally made her feel like she had to be everyone's friend, invite everyone to every birthday party, never leave one person out, never do something with a smaller crowd, never treat someone like they were not as special as someone else. And I actually set her up for living fake.
Yeah.
And it hurt her. She's not an extrovert.
No, and I'm thankful that I learned to see people, because honestly, you helped us see people, and every person, and Pastor Danny preached a message on this starting when I was in youth group, every person's a 10. Every
person, you put a 10 on them. Like, there's not a person you value as a 2 and someone else as a 5. No, every person you value as a 10.
As a 10, but there are people you naturally are drawn to, and I believe that there's God-intended purpose in friendship as well. And from what you're called to do together, to who he's calling you to reach together, to the kids you maybe are supposed to raise together someday. And friendship is such a beautiful part of life. But I really think, especially in youth ministry, it gets highlighted and over magnified in a way that I don't necessarily think is healthy, and it puts so much pressure on the good church kids.
Yeah.
I was a church kid, and I have a heart for church kids.
Yeah, and you're like, just let them come to church and play volleyball with someone and not talk to that other person.
And
I did that. I pushed you guys too much, and I've learned.
And it's okay. And honestly, and there was a new girl at youth group tonight, and nervous to play volleyball, but then one of the other church girls went and invited her to sit by her during youth group.
Yes, we
A
need
win.
that.
It's a win. And it's also okay that girl didn't quit playing volleyball to go sit with her because she wouldn't play either. She's still invited. And I think there's just,
Awesome.
I don't know. So especially for girls in youth group, and there's lots of hormones, so let them have their moment.
There's a lot going on with your kids. A lot of grace.
Yeah.
A grace for other people's kids.
Yeah.
Grace for all the kids at church. I would say kids will eventually fit in where they're called to be.
Yes.
And if you know you and your family are called to a certain church or a certain youth group, stick it out and help them fit in and help them build relationship and find mentors. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking a little bit ago about parents drawing near, getting to know each of their children individually.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things in one of my podcasts before on Parenting on Purpose, season 1 with Mom's Got a Podcast, in my book, I talk about the book called Growing Kids with Character and understanding your own children's personality and their own way of thinking and being and existing. And we're not going to get into all of it because I actually shared a whole bunch of your story while I was talking to Jada. But it's about being raised by a palm tree. And you can learn about all these in the previous podcast. I'm a palm tree and a rose bush, and Danika is a rose bush and a boxwood. In the DISC testing, that's a DC, which means she's concise and she's driven and all that. And as a mom, one of my things that I have had to do is apologize to my children. I've had to own where I've done things wrong. And one of the things that I had done wrong is I parented primarily from the heartbeat of a palm tree and rosebush. I'm very intense and direct and confrontational, which she doesn't mind.
No, we work good together.
Yeah, we're actually like, confrontation is fine. Other than if Danika feels like she had already done something right, because you are concise and a perfectionist. So if my confrontation deals with something that you poured your heart into and you had done it as right as you know how, and my confrontation deals with something that I might be addressing could have been done a little different. It's not always easy, but that's part of knowing your children. You're still my child, even though you're an adult. When she said earlier, know your youth. If your teenager absolutely hates big social environments, do not make them volunteer to, run the games or something. Like, understand them. Don't shame them for being a little more introverted, or don't shame them for being outgoing and loud, because those kids are palm trees and they get embarrassed too because people say, you're so loud and why do you have to be the center of attention? Well, sometimes it's because it's how they were made, literally made by God to just like burst into a room. And so every parent here, if they know their own child by drawing in and learning to capture their heart and love them the way they are and develop their strengths and weaknesses. And Danika had to show me a lot of grace, and I've said it before, but she has said, even though she is not a palm tree, she doesn't hate that she was raised by a palm tree, because I did require that all my kids were friendly to everyone. So not one part of this is saying, allow your kids to be mean, rude, or unfriendly.
No.
Not for 1 second. Christians, the body of Christ, they make room for more friends. We extend love. You find ways to welcome people in, but also, realistically, kids can't be best friends with everyone. It's unrealistic. So I really love your approach on all of that. Danika, if you could give advice to parents about starting the hard conversations with their teenagers about pornography, about lying, stealing, Snapchat stuff. Maybe they're sneaking out, maybe they're making out, encourage parents on how to start those conversations with their teenagers, and what you've found with teenagers, they really do want to talk to someone and they don't know how. How could you encourage our parents to do this?
Yeah, no, those are hard conversations with your kids and with students. But honestly, the earlier you can start conversations, the better. In my opinion, honestly, if there's words and things that you're not allowed to like say in your house, like they feel that. And
So give me an example of what you mean by that, Danika.
so,
Like the word pornography,
pornography.
or
So as pastors, so the average age that a child is exposed to pornography is 8 years old.
oh
And
my goodness.
to be very for real with you guys, it is very rare to have like to talk to like a senior in high school, boy or girl, that has not seen it and or struggled with it, because they're exposed so very young. At a middle school camp one time, we always do talk about freedom from it, especially in a camp setting, because we want these kids to be free. Like that's an addiction that really hurts your life. And but we always tell kids to write it down in a notebook if you hear a word that you don't know, so that we're not just like scarring them or having them look it up at home, because that's
or
even worse.
just asking other kids.
Or asking other kids, because that's the worst case scenario is they go and look up what pornography is at home and it comes up, or they ask a friend and a friend shows them, or they feel embarrassed, all the things. So we had a student write down the word pornography in a notebook and go ask one of our leaders and said, hey, what does this word mean? And a leader just very non-descriptively, but told them what it is in a very healthy way. And the little, like probably 12-year-old just starts bawling. I've seen it and I didn't know what the word was, so I couldn't get help. I didn't know how do I tell my mom what it is if I don't know?
Yeah.
So I think there's healthy conversations. I think it's really important that your kids, hopefully no kids are listening right now, but they learn what sex is from you. Not from school, not from a friend, not from pornography, that you tell them in a healthy way at a young age that's appropriate, when their bodies start, in my opinion, when their bodies start changing, that you tell them what to expect. Life especially is weird, and you want to make sure that they're prepared. And I know those conversations can be awkward. I know your parents might have not had those conversations with you. There's so many resources out there, but thinking that your kids, just because you haven't told them about sex at 10 and 11, 12, they've probably heard about it.
They've probably heard, even from other Christian friends.
Even from other Christian friends, if they've played a sport, if they've gone to a water park, if they've hung out with people, like it's
It can be while you're there.
Yeah.
You can be at the water park with your kids and another kid says something and then they talk about it and you're like 10 feet away, but you don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
We would say as pastors, I was a youth pastor for a long time, talk about it all. So it's safe. Were you guys ever afraid to talk to us? Tessa shared in her podcast that she didn't know how to tell us that she had seen pornography, but eventually she did. And I would say that I wanted all my kids to know there's nothing you've seen or done that we're going to freak out on you. But how do they even know? You've got to start by when they're young.
Yeah.
If they tell you something bad happened, don't freak out on them.
Yeah.
Have discipline, have, shift of things in your home, but don't freak out if something happened, or they won't want to keep coming and telling you. Don't take away all their friends just because they saw something naughty at that person's house, because that family needs help too. It doesn't make them a bad family. It means every family has probably something like this in their history, because we were a really strong family and we had that stuff in our history too. And so you show a lot of love and a lot of grace. Talk to other parents about it. Be very open with your children. Not just this topic.
And pre-think how you're going to respond to stuff.
Yes.
Don't be like, all right, like Zach and I've talked about it and we don't even have kids yet. If this happened, how would we parent that? Okay, let's pray about that. God, I pray that if this ever, just because, or it's also okay too to let a kid know, be like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. Can I have a second to process this before I tell you what my answer is going to be?
So good.
Because sometimes we freak out, or our knee-jerk reaction is to be, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is and it's not. Also, your kid's behavior isn't necessarily a reflection of you either. So don't let your pride get in the way of your kid getting help too.
Oh, ask for help, even though it might be embarrassing. Yeah. Amen, Danika.
Because sometimes there is other people that need to speak in, and sometimes it's also pastors are not professional counselors. There's times where kids need to see a professional counselor.
Amen.
And then there's other times where really it's a mentorship issue. And pastors are meant to mentor, support, and
Well, wait. Can pastors mentor every single kid that
No.
comes through the youth group?
no, this week alone I've gotten 3 phone calls asking for my husband to mentor their kid once a week. It's
I don't think it's possible. I think parents need to mentor their own kids, and they can go and make an appointment with the pastors and meet with them maybe 3 times in the next 3 months, maybe, but not mentoring once a week.
I
There has
met
to
a
be,
student this morning, but
it has to be realistic. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think all of those things, so just have open conversations, age-appropriate conversations. And something Zach and I have noticed too is sometimes by the time it gets to the last kid, the conversations have like parents get more comfortable talking in the house, and so parents think kids know things, but they don't. And
Because it's just already been mentioned, but not really talked about.
yeah, so don't forget about your last kids.
That's really good, Danika. I love that.
So.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up, Danika. You have done so amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask
Rapid
you
fire.
a couple more questions, and again, you don't have to rush through, but then we'll just land all of this. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, these are going to just be fun, and they're not about youth group or kids like that. So, in my teaching, in my first season of Mom's Got a Podcast, I really talk about raising children that have dreams and purpose and vision. I mean, I might have overdone it. I know that sometimes you guys could have felt pressure, and we've talked about living up to high standards, which I love. But Danika, without any guilt or pressure, do you have some dreams right now that you and Zach are dreaming of, that you're hoping for? God dreams, good dreams, some legacy things? Or are you like, nope, I just need to like rest in the Lord right now? So what's going on in the way of dreams for you and your husband right now?
Actually, we did pre-marriage counseling with Pastor Danny, or my dad, and we wrote down core values for who the Schwartzes are going to be. And we're going to live generous, dream big, and be faithful. And so whenever we're in a season so we just finished a big dream. And now we are in a season of rest and a season of openness to the Lord to speak. So we're always, if we don't have something we're dreaming about, we're asking God of, hey, what is our next season? But sometimes if we haven't gotten an answer, we've had to go back and see if God did ask us to do something that we hadn't followed through with.
Wow.
Because sometimes God speaks something to us and we get busy and we don't follow through because we just get busy. So we are always in a season of dreaming, whether that's from family to our future to youth group. We want to always, I believe God has fresh vision always. And so you can go be refreshed by him to get your vision.
Amen. I love it. So you don't feel pressured from us that we want you to be dreamers. You just are like, no, that's what we're going to do. We're going to always live with a dream and a vision, but not overthink it, just be in it.
Yep.
Can you say those 3 things again that are your dreams and goals as a couple, that you set that bar from the time you were pre-married?
Yeah.
I love it. Let's hear it.
So be faithful was number 1. We want to be faithful with everything God's given us, from integrity to how we steward our house, to how we steward our finances, to how we steward our time, our people, our physical bodies, our emotions, all those things. We want to be faithful with all that. We want to be generous. We want to be people that are generous with our hearts, our homes, our time, and our money. And we want to dream big. We want to be people that always are on purpose with a vision. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Be faithful, be generous, and dream big.
Yep.
I love it, Danika. So you've done an amazing job, and I think that we can just wrap up.
Sounds good.
You've done awesome. And is there anything you'd want to say to anyone listening, just from your heart? How old are you again?
I'm 28.
She's 28, and you're living the dream, but there's still a lot of dreams to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of dreams to happen. My last thing would just be have grace for youth pastors, for youth leaders. No one's perfect. We don't always have all the answers, and we're doing our best to love your kids and to love students to the very best of our abilities. And then my last thing would be how you talk about other people in your home does reflect in your kids. And so just watch how your kids are always listening. So that's one of our biggest takeaways that we've learned actually in youth ministry is your kids are always listening. So
They're
build others
listening.
up.
and you can hear it, the tone of their voice, how they reference other people.
Yeah.
It comes out.
It comes out, and they're still sponges, and but I'm excited for the future.
But there's good things too.
Yeah,
Like
there's
you're like, oh my word, I can tell their parents speak God's word in their home.
Or I can tell their parents
that they're
love
generous.
serving.
Or they love serving, like
Yeah.
you just said.
Yeah, so you can tell, and it's cool. So
Okay, I love it. I feel like the number one way you can see if you're doing well, your children are a mirror of you. And when our kids were little, especially this one and Micah, they would get snarky. And I'm like, that's me coming out of them. I was sharp toned. I was a little snippy with their dad. I was sharp with them. And I'm like, that's not a them problem. That's a me problem. I had to adjust me because you're just kids, right? Yeah. And so when our kids are not wanting to be in God's word, or they're being sharp toned, or they're complaining, look in the mirror, mom and dad, because it's probably a reflection of something going on in your life. And don't be discouraged if your kids are generous and they love to pray for people and they're showing up to serve. That's a big reflection of you too. There's no perfect parents. No. There's no perfect kids. My children are not perfect. They are human, but they are serving God and they love the Lord. And it's a delight, Danika, to have you here and to share your heart and to encourage all these parents in their journey of parenting on purpose. And for all the tips and tricks of what I did, go back to my first season, Mom's Got a Podcast, Parenting on Purpose. And if you like these and want to comment, maybe we'll get more watches and more views. So thank you for being a part of my dreams coming true by being here and watching these. And I'm going to have Zach come on.
Oh, yeah.
Would he do it?
Yeah.
I mean, I love my son-in-law. He's amazing. Awesome. All right, Danika, I love you. You did great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Love you too.
Thank you. And God bless.
Mom's got a podcast.